With more visits scheduled from guys in the transfer portal, plus some good momentum with guys in the portal as well, are we finally going to get some good news?
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on in. It is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you being here, making this your first listen each and every day. We are a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Appreciate you being here. Shout out to all of you everydayers. Those are you that come back each and every day, Monday through Friday, weekend episodes when we post them as well. And you make this truly your first listen each and every day. So thank you for that. If you're on YouTube, like the video, it shares it, send it around, hit the link, and send it off to all your friends and family. Be sure you subscribe to our channel if you have not done that. Again, we are just soaring right now when it comes to subscriptions on the YouTube channel. That's also free. It takes one hit. And hey, we're already halfway to 2,100. So let's get there, huh? Let's do that this weekend. Get to 2,100 subs. So thank you so much. Also, thank you to those of you on the audio platforms as well. Indiana's got visits scheduled like crazy. Some good news, I think, is coming, and I know we're just so waiting for it. We're all ready to hear some good news come through for this Indiana basketball team in terms of the transfer portal. We've got more visits scheduled. We'll talk about those today, 3 in particular. I think we're getting some really good vibes from Myles Rice as well. That is all on the schedule for today. Before we get into the details of who's coming and what we know and what we want to know and what we're hoping for, right? We've talked all week about how patience is key. And patience is a good thing to have. It is. Patience is a great thing to have. But it only can get you so far. And with a fan base like us, who we are some of the most passionate fans in all of sports, not just college basketball, I believe in all of sports. You want to give this coaching staff the benefit of the doubt. You want to say, okay, the portal's been open for a little bit. Now we've got to figure it out because the dead period's here, right? So you've got these guys scheduling visits for weeks down the road. It's time to start getting some news. And I think that's pretty much where we are as a fan base. It's like, okay, you've reached out to every joker in the transfer portal. Let's get them on campus and let's get some guys committed. I think some are coming, okay? I do. I believe it. I think there are guys that are going to be here and commit to this Indiana team. It would just settle out down the fan base a little bit if some would come through. How about right now, right? And I'll be honest, not that I was fully expecting one to come through by this point on Friday, but it wouldn't have shocked me, right? And that would have made us all feel a little bit better about where we are in the offseason. We just haven't had that yet. And so with all of that, I think that, you're looking at this and you're saying, okay, who are we going to get? Who are we going after? Who are we going to get? And who's going to commit? Because you've got to go out and get these guys because so many of them that Indiana has reached out to, they're being reached out to by numerous schools, dozens of schools, because we're reaching out to the top guys in the portal. And so you've got to go in and win these battles. It's just like high school recruiting. That's what Indiana's having to do right now with some of the highest level players. And I think the biggest one outside of Myles Rice, who we're going to talk about coming up in a little bit, is the Drexel transfer, Amari Williams. This guy is a stud. And I think Indiana needs to do everything in their power to get him to come to Bloomington. He is scheduled an official visit coming up for the Colonial Athletic Association Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah, that's a mouthful, but he's really, really good. He's 6'3", and no, he's not 6'3", 6'10", apologies. 6'10", 265 pounds, and he's a center. And as far as we all know, we don't have a center right now because Khalil Ware left for the NBA draft. And this is somebody we've talked about throughout the week, and I think he's crucial. I think he is crucial for the Hoosiers to go and get. And he's showing a lot of interest. He's taking some other visits, but he is interested in Indiana, and he will be taking an official visit here to Indiana April 19th and 20th. He'll also visit St. John's, Creighton, and Florida as well. So 2 Big East schools and then an SEC squad as well. All those teams need a big-time center, including us out of the Big Ten. I think pairing him with Myles Rice out of the portal would be a really good start. I think you still need more in terms of filling your roster, but to go and get those guys who are, my favorite term, instant impact players and probably day one starters when they walk through the door, yeah, that is crucial for us to go and get Amari Williams because of what he brings. 6'10", 265. We read you his stats yesterday. I mean, the guy's averaging 12 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game. What more could you want? He's going to be your defensive lockdown defender in the paint. He'll be that presence down low. And then if you can develop the offense with him a little bit more, I think if you have actually efficient guards that know how to run a pick and roll properly, I think you'll make him a superstar. He only has 1 year left of eligibility, but you can make that a really good year. You can make that a solid year, a really impactful year for him and for us at Indiana. And then you never know what he could do. I mean, you can make him play so well that he could start receiving some serious draft consideration. I don't know, right? The possibilities are endless here. But I think with what we are trying to do offensively and what we tried to do last year and what I said we didn't do enough of, the pick and roll game has got to be there. And that's a great thing about Myles Rice and a couple of other guys that we're going to talk about coming up in a second as well. Those guys can run that to perfection. And I said this last year, why were we not doing it more with Khalil Ware, the 7-footer, and Malik Renew, who is damn near 7 foot? I mean, that's how you can break down a defense. And they couldn't stop it. You can throw it 12 feet in the air, and Khalil Ware was going to go get it. How do you stop that? Now, teams are going to figure it out, and then you can move around and adjust. But you have that in your back pocket. Why not use it? And I think Williams can help you do that. And he's going to clean up the glass. He's going to give you extra possession, something that we just didn't do a whole lot of this past year. You get multiple possessions on each possession, right? Multiple shots per possession. That's how you win basketball games. That's how you assert dominance and become better than everybody else. If you're one and done every single time down the floor, yeah, you're not going to win very many games, especially if you're a team that doesn't shoot it at a high level outside that painted rectangle. So Williams is a crucial factor for this team. And I think when you start talking about the list of players that we've reached out to and the list of guys that's coming, he is one of the most important ones. One of the most important visitors for the Hoosiers. You got to go get him. You have to go get him along with Myles Rice. And I think along with these other 2 guys as well who are interested in the Hoosiers. Some are coming. Some might be coming in terms of visiting. We'll talk about that all coming up in just a second on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Robinhood. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you can still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. That's pretty good. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30. Get started at Robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal info. Claim as of Q1 2024, validated by Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risk, including loss. Limitations apply to IRAs and 401ks. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of first 3% match. Must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. The 3% matching on transfers is subject to specific terms and conditions. Robinhood IRA available to U.S. customers in good standing. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SBIC, and a registered broker-dealer. Welcome back into Locked On Hoosiers. Appreciate you being here. Happy Friday. Hope you're doing well. If you're watching this over the weekend or later on, hope you're having a wonderful day. Be sure you like the video, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, turn on notifications if you're on audio so you never miss an episode. Well, Williams is taking a visit, but there's a couple of other guys, more portal updates for this Indiana squad. And it's not surprising, right? It's not surprising by any means that Indiana continues to reach out to guys. Look, I'm excited about Williams, but he is taking other visits, right? To Creighton, St. John's, Florida. Like he's going to other places, and those are all fantastic programs. But other guys that Indiana has reached out to, we're going to talk about Myles Rice near the end, so be sure you stick around for that because I have some more thoughts on him and what we're learning about him so far. You already reached out to Kanaan Carlyle, who plans on visiting Indiana. This is the Stanford transfer. We've mentioned his name a couple of times, but I don't think we've fully dove into him just yet. 11.5-point score as a freshman at Stanford. And he was solid, man. He really, really was. He was a really good player for them. He's 6'3", 185, so he's got some size that Indiana could definitely use. He was an honorable mention on the Pac-12 all-freshman team, averaged 11.5 points, basically 3 assists and 3 rebounds per game. Shot 38% from the field and 32% from 3 and 77% at the free throw line. So while the numbers may not blow you off the page, right? You're not going to sit back in your chair and be like, whoa, well, look at those stats, man. We got to get this guy. I think he's a really solid player. And something that I think has been a major concern for at least a lot of you, my listeners and my viewers, is he has 3 years of eligibility remaining. He has 3 years that he could come in and be one of your, one of your veteran guards by the end of it, right? He could become that guy that has cemented himself in Indiana basketball, in the program. I'm not saying he's going to come here. I'm not saying that all going to happen, but that at least has the potential to be a thing. Right? So many of these guys that we're talking about, and I get the concern that you folks have. I really do. It's like, well, we don't want a 1-year rental. We don't want a guy that's just going to come in, take advantage, and then leave. Like, we don't want somebody that we're going to have to replace this time next year. Totally get it. I really do. I totally understand where you're coming from. But this guy's not that. Carlyle is not that. He is somebody that you can bring in who is going to be here as long as you treat him right and as long as he likes it here and sees that he's getting better and has a legit role. He could be here for 2 or 3 more years. And that's one less roster spot that you have to fill. And that's something that this coaching staff has to take into consideration, especially given the lack of high school recruiting, which is not something we're proud of or happy about or trying to make excuses for, because that's unacceptable. But if you bring in this Carlyle guy, that's one less spot you got to worry about next April and throughout the rest of high school recruiting, which we know is 365 days a year. I like this guy. I really do. He's a freshman. He started about 2/3 of the games that he played in. He had a career-high 31 against Washington State, which that's a tournament team, and 28 points against Arizona, another tournament team, a really good tournament team. So, you kind of watch some of his film and everything, and he is just a confident guard. Like, he's a very confident player. The shooting could improve. I think the numbers aren't horrible, but I think that could get better. And here's the good thing. With those 3 years left, I think he could come in and maybe not be an immediate starter, but could really develop, really get better, and then could be the guy the next 2 years because he's got all the potential in the world. I think the sky's the limit for Carlyle. I really do. And if you bring him in and you can convince him, and not in a bad way, I'm not saying like trick him or fool him. I'm saying convince him of, hey, you're going to come in, you're not going to start, but you're going to be a big piece of this team. You're going to be our go-to backup guy because that's what Indiana needs right now, right? We have Trey Galloway, and that's it. We're hoping we get Myles Rice. We're hoping we get some of these other guys like a Carlyle or a Thiero that we'll talk about in a second. But come in, you're going to be a go-to guy, possibly 6th or 7th man, and we're going to develop you. You're going to get better here, and then 2 and 3 now, your second and third year here, your third and fourth years of college, you're going to be the guy. You're going to have a chance to be the guy. And I think he could be that. I think he's got the skill set. I think he has the talent to be that. You just have to convince him that that's the right thing to do. And if it is for him, great. And it might not be, right? That's what you have to remember in the transfer portal too, is you're dealing with kids that are trying to figure out what's best for their future. And so we tend to have a blind eye when it comes to that, because it's like, well, why wouldn't you want to come here? You don't want to be an Indiana Hoosier? Why not? It doesn't work for everybody. And some people may not like it here, and that's fine. And at that point, you probably don't want them here anyway. But I think Carlyle would fit really well. And I think he could be a role player here and would have the opportunity to be a bigger player down the road. And maybe that's what they're selling him. Or maybe they're selling him on the chance to start, because who knows what the guard spot's going to look like. So that's him. I like Kanaan Carlyle a lot from Stanford, played big-time basketball in the non-existent Pac-12 anymore, right? So at least you'd be bringing somebody in that would be playing with experience, I should say. And you're not bringing in those mid-major guys. And nothing wrong with that, but this guy played Power 6 basketball. The other guy I want to talk about quickly is Adou Thiero from Kentucky, who, if you know the name, yeah, he's a superstar. Or not, the numbers don't show it, but this guy can freaking play. Let me just tell you that right now. He's a sophomore coming from Kentucky. Yeah, how would that be? It seems a little weird, doesn't it? It's always a little weird when you start talking like this. It's like, oh, yeah, let's go get that guy from Kentucky, a team that we just wears the wrong colors, right? But he averaged 7 points and 5 rebounds a game as a forward at Kentucky. And Indiana has reached out to him. As far as I know, there's no visits or anything set up, but that very well could come down the road. Here's the problem. You want to know how good this guy is? You want to know what the potential of Thiero is in the next couple of years? I'm going to read off this list, and bear with me here. This is the list of schools that have reached out to him since he entered the portal. Pittsburgh, Miami, Arizona, Oregon, Gonzaga, Ohio State, Indiana, Xavier, NC State, Arkansas, which, that got a little trickier, Texas A&M, Creighton, Richmond, Georgia, UC Santa Barbara, Penn State, Mizzou, DePaul, Georgetown, Ole Miss, and Duquesne. Yeah, that's a lot of schools. That's some big-time schools that reached out to Thiero from Kentucky. 6'8", averaged 7 points, 5 rebounds, and assist a block per game as a sophomore this past season. Started in 19 games and played in a total of 25 and was playing around 21 minutes a game. As a forward, he was shooting 49% from the field. And how about this? 80% from the free throw line, which would be one of the better ones on Indiana's team right now. How about that? As a non-guard, that's impressive to me. This guy can play, man. What's unfortunate with him is he got drowned out in all the freshman phenoms that Calipari brings in Lexington and Kentucky every year, and his role just never became what it needed to be. And then with the big fella that eventually got eligible and all of that. I mean, it was a weird year for that Kentucky team. Uber talented, so much so that they're missing out on guys like this. And he knows he can go play somewhere. And all these other schools know that he can play too. We'll keep you updated, but Indiana's at least reached out. I would love to see an official visit. I'm curious to see what his official visit list is going to look like. It's going to be insane. But keep your eye on Thiero as well from Kentucky. Coming up on our final segment here on the show, update on Myles Rice. We're hearing good things. I know he's a big name that you've been curious about. And is he the perfect fit for this Indiana team? We'll talk about that in our final segment coming up on Locked on Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked on Hoosiers is brought to you by Game Time. Look, Game Time is the go-to ticketing app. We were talking all the college Locked on hosts the other day, and everybody was just starting to give their examples of, hey, this is what I bought with Game Time. I bought these football tickets back in the fall. I bought these concert tickets. I walked up to the venue, stood outside, and bought tickets right then and there. And we love this thing. We love the Game Time app. If you're looking to buy tickets for sports, music, comedy, theater, whatever the case may be, I'm telling you, use the Game Time app. Ditch all the other ones and come back and try out the Game Time app. Your price is exactly what you see is what you're paying. That is it. They're not going to hide anything. They're not hiding fees or taxes or anything. They're putting it all in, and what you see is what you pay. And I know there's a kind of a hesitancy when it comes to, oh, is the view really what you see, right? Because on the Game Time app, you could pull up any venue, any seat, and see your view. It's spot on. I'm telling you personally, I bought basketball tickets this year with it. It's exactly what you are. It's exactly what you see, and what you see is what you get, man. Game Time is it. Best prices, last-minute tickets, views from your seat, the whole shebang. You've got to download the Game Time app. Look, you can save up to 60% off of buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, etc. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our code. Okay, you got to use our code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. So when you get on there today and you're starting to look through it and you buy some tickets, use our code LOCKEDONCollege, and we're going to save you $20 on your first purchase. Okay, terms apply. Again, create your account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Final segment here on the show. Appreciate you being with me and all the everydayers. You're the reason that we do this every single day. So thank you so much. Reminder, we're always free and available wherever you get your podcast, on the video or on audio as well. Updates on Myles Rice, a guy that we've talked a lot about, a guy that we are very excited about. And let me just say, I think we should feel pretty good about. I think he really likes it here. I think Indiana really likes him. And I'm just going to say this. I think he's the perfect fit. I really do. I think he is the perfect fit for what Indiana needs and really what he needs. He's going to come in and be the guy. He will be the guy when he gets here to Bloomington. And I think that's something you have to sell him. But for Indiana's purposes here, what more could you want? You're bringing in an experienced guy, a very humble guy, a very leader type of guy. I don't know a better way to say that, but he's a leader, right? He's proven that. He can score. He can dish it out. He can do whatever he wants. He can command the offense. He can run the show. And that's what the Hoosiers need, because nobody did that last year. Wasn't that a major problem? I think it was. Nobody was able to say, hey, give me the basketball and let's go. Let me run this thing. Here we go. We're going to do this. You're going to go here. We're going to run this play, and we're going to go. Nobody did that. Nobody wanted to do that last year. Wasn't going to be Trey Galloway. Sometimes it was, but most of the time it wasn't. Wasn't going to be Xavier Johnson because he was in and out with injuries all year. The freshman, Mackenzie Mbako, wasn't going to do it. And then Malik Renew and Khalil Ware were just kind of there playing solo ball. Nobody wanted to be that guy. I think Myles Rice would be that guy. I think he'd come in and he would instantly, A, make your team better, and B, would maybe hold some guys accountable and say, look, we have potential to be really good, especially if we bring up some of those guys that we're talking about in the portal as well, because I don't think he would be the only one. You just need somebody who can elevate the play of everybody else, who those guys that make others better, right? The legends of the game who, when they're on a team, everybody around them is just better because of it, and they make them better in terms of their physicality and in terms of their mental mindset and their basketball IQ. All of those things that legends do in the game of basketball. I'm not saying Myles Rice is a legend, but I'm saying he has those capabilities. He has those tendencies. I've seen it. I've seen it in the games he's played and in the film that I've watched. He makes players better. And the Hoosiers desperately need that. We have to have somebody like that, because let's just be real. We're not getting them as much leadership from the sidelines as I think we would like to see and that we need. And maybe that changes this year. But in terms of right now, based off of what we saw this past year, we don't have that. Myles Rice can do that for you. And I'm just telling you, I like Indiana's chances here. I like our chances. And I know there's some big fish that are swimming around this guy with us in the pond. but I think we're going to end up getting him. That's my prediction. I think he does. I think he comes to Bloomington. I think he commits to Bloomington, and I think he wants to be an Indiana Hoosier. And when that happens, we need to be ecstatic. We need to be over the top excited about it because it's a big deal. And I think it's going to happen. Now, it very well could not, because you know how it is in the transfer portal and high school recruiting. You just never know until they get here, until pen to paper is delivered. And even then, we know that's not even enough to keep a guy around. But I'm just telling you, it could be this weekend, could be early next week. But I think we should feel good about Myles Rice. And when he does commit, show him all the love and tell him and show him what it means to be an Indiana Hoosier. And then we get to continue talking about him, how he's going to fit in this system along with Trey Galloway, with Malik Renew, with Mackenzie Mbaka, with anybody else that decides to come in through the portal, plus Bryson Tucker coming in through the high school ranks. This team is going to start forming and the talent's going to be there. Can they put it together? That's the big question at the end of the day. But stay tuned. We're going to talk all about Myles Rice if and when possibly the news does drop, if he decides to pick the Indiana Hoosiers. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being with us all week long. Have a great weekend. We will be back on Monday, and hopefully we've got some good news to talk about here. I'll make my Final Four predictions really quickly. I'm going to take UConn to beat Alabama, and I'm going to take, oh goodness, I don't want to, but I'm going to take Purdue. I think NC State's going to give them all they want, though. I think they're going to give them all they want. I'll take UConn, and I'll take Purdue. I'll make my national championship pick on the show on Monday. So have a great weekend, Hoosier fans. Until next time, stay safe, and I'll talk to you later.